Cool. All right.
Mm.
Welcome everybody to DC Gaming Group Direct Episode 2. I'm here with Tom, and we're going to talk about what's going on this week with DC Gaming Group. Tom, would you like to introduce yourself?
Sure. My name's Tom. I'm one of the co-founders of the DC Gaming Group. And together, me and Creston have been working on building a community of people based in DC um, who like playing video games and want to share that love with other people. As for my background with video games, um, I would say that I started playing video games even before I could remember I was playing video games. I was playing the NES back when I was like 5 years old and didn't know what I was doing. Um, and since then, my passion for games has only really evolved tremendously since then. I play things from like shooter games to fighting games to like Legend of Zelda, puzzle games. Um, and lately, I'm just trying out a whole bunch of new stuff and just, you know, I love it.
Yeah,
um,
I would say you have a very wide range of taste when it comes
mhm.
to games. What would you attribute that to?
um, I think that now I have to think about it a bit. I would say that it stems a little bit from the bargain bin. Like
That's a
going
good,
to,
yeah.
yeah,
Greatest
just like
hits.
exactly like whatever was the cheapest thing you could find. Um, and obviously, and if for like the PS2 era and especially whatever was labeled like greatest hits.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so that way, it's almost like early video game curation in the market is, you can get like Game Informer magazine and look at reviews and all of that. But if you go to the store and see something labeled that it's like popular, um, then I would just like pick it up and play. And be like, okay, Ratchet and Clank, great series. Jack and Daxter, that's a lot of fun. Mega Man, really cool platformers, Um, and then sometimes racing games too, like Need for Speed Underground 2. It's one of the few racing games that I still like really enjoy.
Mm-hmm.
So that's like one genre I want to get back into eventually.
Yes, that's actually something I want to do more with DC Gamer Group is playing
Yeah.
racing games. There's actually a lot of cool racing games right now. Outside of the tentpole games like Need for Speed and Forza and all that stuff. There's a wide array of indie games, especially on the Nintendo Switch. So
Hmm.
stay tuned, everybody, for an event series based around racing games. Because racing games are still really fun and it's a easy game to pick up and play. So stay tuned for that.
Hmm.
What in the beginning of starting DC Gaming Group, what is overall what does DC Gaming Group mean to you?
So I'd say first and foremost, it means having a community of like-minded people who are interested in video games, and whether or not you like feel like you're an expert in them or you know a lot about them, just like having a little bit of passion and curiosity and bringing all those people together. Um, I also like the idea of building something that's a little bit lacking in the area. Here in DC, Creston and I and our other buddies um, kind of realized that there aren't a lot of uh, opportunities for people to just straight up get together. Like we don't really have much of a scene for there's no like arcades really. There's no like we have a couple of video game expos every once in a while, but nothing that we can just go to any day of the week. That kind of environment is hard to find. Um, so I would like to set up something that's on an ongoing basis, having people get together and create either that community for themselves or that we can create it for other people, and therefore it'll all facilitate growth of a community who wants to play video games together.
For sure. Yeah. I mean, me being a DC native, I've always been extremely disappointed in the lack of gaming outlets here in the area. There was for sure there was when arcades were popular. There was a few malls that had like popping scenes, and they actually I just ran into this one guy at Magfest not too long, actually last year or earlier this year, and he is from like the basically the arcade scene in back in the day, and so I want to talk to him about because he's older. He's in I think he's in his 40s. So when the arcade scene was popping, he was in his teenage years. Um, so we're working on something. I'm talking to him now, to kind of create a piece of content around that, just a little like a history of gaming in the DC area. So stay tuned for that. But yeah, like we don't have a lot of outlets. There's so many outlets for other interests that you have, but there's nothing consistent. Like we have Magfest, we have Awesome Con, we have other cons. Just recently BlurCon is in the area as well. So we have those things, but those are usually like once a year. So we've always wanted to do something that was ongoing. So I think we're off to a good start.
Hmm. Yeah, for sure.
Cool. This section, we're gonna just talk about some upcoming events with DC Gaming Group. As usual, if you have followed our previous episodes, we have a weekly Call of Duty event every Friday where everybody gets together and we do custom games. If you're not familiar with custom games, basically we're able to host our own online game types and rules basically, so we can make all of this stuff up. um it is a really good time. It's a wide range of skill levels. We're not doing tournaments or anything like that. If we do tournaments, it'll be with the twist, as everything is for fun basically. So yeah, every Friday at 9 o'clock, if you're interested in Call of Duty or if you play, please join us on Fridays. It's a really good time. It is super wacky. I'm working on a trailer for our Friday event, so um, definitely stay tuned for that as well. I just noticed that I skipped a question, so I'm gonna jump back
Oh,
a bit. Tom, what are you with DC Gaming Group? What are some of the things that you're working on right now?
so I guess we can sort of mix this part together with our upcoming events because one of the things that I'm getting into is like regular online gaming events, something like a bit of a low hanging fruit, like something easy to organize, something that we can do for quick for fun. These weekly COD nights have been, a great success and like one of the things that we've been doing. Uh, for me personally, I want to host a semi-regular Jackbox party pack night. Um, I'll be hosting an upcoming event this Saturday, August 1st, at 6 o'clock, and it'll be hosted on our Discord server. For those of you that don't know, Jackbox Party Pack games, they're like a series and a collection of uh, short, like 15, 20-minute party games with various themes and gimmicks and uh, very easy way to socialize with larger groups of people. Most of these games support up to 8 people playing at once, but also allow for additional players who want to like join and spectate into the audience and still participate to varying degrees. And so far, like we already have a pretty good amount of people signed up for this Saturday, and I expect more to sign up during the week. So I'm definitely looking forward to that. One of the other things that I've been working on is sort of drumming up discussion and content for the Discord server that ideally we could potentially push to our blog of discussions about video games and video game media and topics, and sometimes like very specific uh, games and our opinions of them. Heck, I even just wrote about Paper Mario Origami King with the intention of sort of giving my take and perspective on the game, but it ended up turning into like a 3-page review of it with a little bit of the context and history thrown in there too of the series. Um, so I guess like to sum it up, it's just things that I want to do for fun for the community are things that I'm trying to do for the DC Gaming Group.
Yeah, and that's the whole point of DC Gaming Group. It's this is all for fun. This is stuff that we do on the side in addition to you know our full time obligations. So everything that we do, we just want to make it fun. And uh, anything that you wanted to focus on, anything that you feel like the group is lacking, we're open for suggestions. So keep that keep that in mind when you're interacting with other community members and us in general. Um, cool. So jumping ahead a bit, I want to talk about some more upcoming programs that we have. Myself and Wallace, who is Fada on Discord, we're working on a fight club, DC Gaming Group Fight Club. And what that is it's a group that or program that's really designed for both fighting game fans and folks that are at least interested in getting into fighting games. So we're trying to create a an easy way for folks that um, normally don't play fighting games to be able to have people there to guide you on what games would be best to start with, what games are there's because the big thing with playing folks that actually know how to play fighting games and folks that don't know how to play, uh, there's a very apparent skill gap there. So we're trying to make it approachable where you can learn, you can get beat up, without judgment. The whole purpose is for you to learn and for you to enjoy the game for what it is. So we're gonna be featuring a ton of different fighting games. Like right now is the I would say probably the most one of the most popular games is like Mortal Kombat 11. We'll be doing stuff with Soul Calibur, Tekken, all sorts of games. So I'm big on trying to play as many fighting games as possible and being pretty decent at each one of them. It's a tall task, but it's very I think it's rewarding. So I just want to spread that passion with other folks that may not be into fighting games at the moment, but is open to it. So we're probably going to be starting that uh, early next month, which is next week, which is crazy. I keep forgetting that July is basically over.
Mm-hmm.
So stay tuned for more information on that. That's going to be a really it's going to be a blast. We'll have more information leading up to that. The other thing that we're working on is our DC Gaming Group Game Club. Basically, what that is, if you're familiar with book clubs and how they operate, we're taking that exact same model and porting it into games. So as a staff, we all have a variety of different game tastes and preferences. So from us, we're gonna just basically choose a pool of like 5 or 6 games that the organization can or the community can basically vote on which game they want to actually play for that month, and then whatever game wins, then that's going to be the game of the month, and then you have a whole month to complete it. You know, jot down your notes, things of that sort, and then at the end of the month, we're gonna all get together and have a roundtable discussion on the game. How what were some of your thoughts on it? Some games will be more story focused than others. Some will be more gameplay focused. So it just depends on whatever game that as a community we choose to play. So I think that's gonna be a really fun time. We're gonna play around with the format in a bit as we go along. So definitely stay tuned for that. Um, Tom, did you want to add anything else to Jackbox game nights?
Well, this upcoming Jackbox game night on Saturday is going to be the first one. I see already that it's going to be pretty successful, so um, my plan is to hold it at least once a month on a weekend where people are free. And um, I guess, depending on how successful it ends up being, we can have additional nights during the month uh, with potentially even additional hosts, so I don't have to be the only one hosting these game nights. Um, that said, we do already kind of casually get together in the Discord server to play various video games, so that's something that I guess like we're all sort of casually pushing in the idea of that like we don't have to necessarily organize things just to play video games with each other.
Definitely, definitely. So yeah, this Saturday at 6 p.m. Make sure we're gonna post the link in the Discord, so stay tuned for that. And then to round it out, we've had some big news last week with Xbox and their new platform. I want to see what you all think about that. So I'm going to be posting throughout the week on what what did you think of the new Halo? What did you think of the other games that they showed? Do you think that Xbox is doing enough to compete with Sony, or are they even competing? Because that's the whole thing. Is it seems like Microsoft isn't even really competing with Sony anymore because that game is basically lost in terms of having these high quality exclusives and being able to kind of push a console in that way. So I think what Microsoft is doing is taking a more service approach. They want you in the ecosystem. They don't care if you're playing on Xbox. They don't care if you're playing on PC. So they're it's interesting. So we're living in very interesting times. Tom, what do you think? What do you think about that?
Yeah, I mean, the old school way of looking at consoles had always been like who has the best games. Like go even way back to Atari. It's like Atari had the best games, and then and then the quality started to go down, and then Nintendo came in and was like, look, we got the Nintendo Seal of Excellence on our NES slash Famicom. This is the console you want. But the technology has changed completely since then. Internet is in every home, just about. Um, and content delivery has improved tremendously since then. So if I think if companies in general were to focus on console exclusive titles, like there's generally you can argue that there's always going to be a loser, and
Mm-hmm.
in this uh, sort of like the end of an old generation, beginning of a new generation, with the PS5, Xbox Series X, and the Nintendo Switch, arguably. Um, Xbox, you're right. I think Creston is that they're doing more like Xbox as a service, and they're pushing a subscription-based games delivery program, which is a great idea. And for the past year, they've been pushing that a little bit and adding more games to the Xbox Game Pass.
Mm-hmm.
And even with their most recent video game showcase, kind of showed that like yes, they have some exclusives, but all of those exclusives and all of those games that they're announcing for Series X, they want to have included on the Game Pass, including Halo.
Yeah.
And so for what they end up deciding, even if they aren't going to increase the price, that'd be great. There's a lot of value in all of the games that you get to play just like right out of the box without having to really um, like invest too much money into it. So
Yeah,
anyway,
it's definitely it's a really good deal for sure.
yeah,
You know, the fact that they're And they've even said that at least I think for the first 2 years they're still going to be supporting the Xbox One families, like family of consoles. Um, so they're I think the overall consensus with last week's press conference was that they weren't people weren't necessarily blown away by what they showed, but I think their messaging, and they should just be more upfront about it. But the whole
Hmm.
thing is it's all about Game Pass. That's all the focus is for next generation for Xbox. It's Game Pass, getting you on Game Pass. If you already have a PC, that's perfectly fine. If you have an Xbox One, that's perfectly fine. Oh, we also have this new powerful system. If you don't feel like building a new gaming PC, we have this offering for you, the Series X. So it's a very interesting approach, and I hope that people at least see that they're giving away like Game Pass is just is it's like so good that it's too good to be true in some ways. But if any if any company was to be able to do this, it is Microsoft because they have extremely deep pockets, so they can take these long term risks, or short term risks, and reap long term rewards. So it is very interesting. So stay tuned for some talking points with that throughout the week. Is We're still seeing like people's reactions from that, so I just want to get a sense of what you all think about that press conference, and what do you think about next generation in general. So cool. So uh with that being said, we're gonna wrap up here. Just want to have a couple more announcements. Every also in addition to every Friday that we're doing Call of Duty, we're also doing uh happy hours at 5, or 5:30 actually. So if you just want to come hang out, meet other DC Gaming Group community members, get to know everybody, it's a really good time to do so. So every Friday at 5:30, we usually run between 1 hour to a couple hours or so, depending on how tipsy everybody gets. So so definitely come and hang out and meet some fellow DCGG members. Um, Tom, did you have anything else?
Um, just that you don't need a drink to join us for a happy hour. It's definitely more of a let's all wind down together and chill out kind of vibe.
Yeah, it's a perfect way to end the week, right?
Yeah,
You
it's
know, I
and
find myself looking forward to it on Fridays in particular.
mhm. Yeah, for sure. And like sometimes we'll talk about video games, sometimes just unrelated stuff. So,
Exactly,
it's just nice way to chill with people.
for sure. Cool. All right. So with that, that is close of episode 2. Um, thank you all for joining us. And again, if you're not already following us, follow us on social media at DC Gaming Group on various platforms. If you want to learn more about the organization in general, go to dcgg.gg. There you can find information about the organization, and you can also join our Discord. We have a link on our page to be able to join join the community. So with that, I want you all to have a good evening, and we will see you next week.